are you, Steve?
Hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
Ho, ho.
Ho, ho.
Ho, ho.
This is one nice house you got.
Oh, yeah.
How long you owned it?
Well, I own so many houses, that I can't really keep track. I think I've had this one for about 4 years.
Do you own this house?
God, no. There's friends. I'm staying with friends.
Both you and...
No, Andy's in Connecticut.
But does she stay here with you too?
Well, yeah, sometimes.
When you...
Yeah, I mean...
She lives in Connecticut mostly?
Well, she's been in Connecticut this winter. We're going to be both back here,
She comes back in the summertime.
Yeah, we're going to just stay. I don't think we're going to do the winter in Connecticut thing next year. It's just too much.
So she'll stay here with you?
No, we live on Stone Alley.
You are an enigma.
We've been renting We've been renting from Ginger Andrews on Stone Alley for 12 years.
Did not even know that.
Yeah. Before that, we were 8 or 9 years at York Street. But anyway, now we've been on Stone Alley forever.
You're so lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Huh?
No, really, totally. We're really lucky. And Ginger's a great landlady and a cool person. And she also helps with all the birding in my books.
All right, well, we're going to get to you, Steve, but I want to go back. We have to go back.
Back.
Okay. We have to go back. Where were you born?
New York City.
Okay. And you were born in
1952.
50s.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't know, you're kind of your dad was famous.
Yeah, my dad was pretty prominent screenwriter, playwright back in the day.
What did he do?
Well, my dad.
Just a few things.
My dad. Someone said to him once,
"You need to wear that seatbelt."
What?
It's going to go bing, bing, bing.
What's more rewarding, parenthood or your writing career? And he was like, it's funny you should say that because he's 7-year itch, and my son were born in the same year, 1952. And it's interesting to compare them. The 7-year itch is funnier than my son, more successful than my son, holding up a lot, aging much better than my son.
Well, wait a minute. Was he actually speaking about it?
He was joking.
Or was he talking about the play?
He was comparing me to the play, and I didn't measure up to the play at all.
Did he write that play, though?
Yes. I wasn't anywhere near as funny, successful, or I wasn't aging as well either.
Did he do the screenplay for the movie?
Yeah.
As well. So he wrote the play and the screenplay.
Yeah. The screenplay for the movie was badly compromised by the Hayes office, by the self-censorship of Hollywood at the time, because the play is about a guy whose wife is like summering on Nantucket or wherever, and he has an affair with the girl upstairs and feels very guilty about it. But in Hollywood at that time, the guy couldn't have an affair. There were no extramarital affairs allowed in movies or whatever, so he had to just be fantasizing about having an affair with a girl upstairs and feeling guilty about that, which is a little lame, and it really damaged the... But all anyone remembers from that movie is Marilyn Monroe's skirt going up anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
But it kicks off who you are at 7 years old, and did your dad actually go through a 7-year itch and move on after?
Yeah. He sold that play to Hollywood and divorced my mother the same year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
The 7-year itch is actually some sort of abstruse medical skin condition, but he took it and made it into, really, he put the term as far as 7 years of marriage being the moment where you start wanting to stray. He sort of put that into the language, 7 years, you hear it all the time.
So he went on. He moved to Hollywood. You stayed in New York,
right?
And he went on to make.
He wrote the screenplays for Breakfast at Tiffany's and The Manchurian Candidate, and
Did he write just the screenplay to that?
Well, he adapted both of those.
He adapted,
but if you read the books, I have, Richard Condon who wrote Manchurian Candidate, one of my dad's best friends, and he was a really cool guy. And once I said to him, Dick, how do you research these books? They're so full of historical detail. And he said, just make it up. I've never done research in my life. He was funny. Anyway, he and my dad were great friends, but my dad's version of Manchurian was really, it's taught in film school. It's a brilliant script.
It's a brilliant
And Breakfast at Tiffany's, I mean, they completely changed Breakfast at Tiffany's. Breakfast at Tiffany's is about a gay guy who has this wonderful, and they made it into a love story with George Papard played not just a straight guy, but he was kind of like a male gigolo. He was kind of a kept man. He changed the story completely. Truman Capote wasn't really happy about that. He saw Truman Capote when he said to him, "Oh, we're changing the title to Truman. We're calling it Follow That Blonde," just to make Truman Capote insane.
Wow.
Anyway.
Did when your dad left, did you see much of him?
Yeah,
I
I was kind of a bi-coastal kid. My brother, who was 4 years older than me, was 4 when my father left. I was a newborn.
Oh, you were?
I was born in 1952, and so was the 7-year itch.
Oh, I see. So it didn't happen after 7 years. It happened.
No, it happened after 7 years of marriage with my mother.
Gotcha. So did you know him that well?
Yeah. I mean, I spent, I can't say half the time. I spent a large part of every year out in California, and I was always flying back and forth first class on TWA. That was an airline back in the day, folks. You probably don't remember
class?
that. Yeah, flying first class when you were a kid. They'd give you a little toy airplane and things, and they treated you like royalty. It was kind of great.
So as you saw your dad, you're looking at this guy and going, man, he knows all these Hollywood stars.
Yeah, this is the way to go.
This is the way to go.
Yeah, so I went to Hollywood and beat my head against that wall for
thinking you'd be what, a screenwriter?
Yeah. I mean, they would just give it to me because I'm his son. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't. In fact, nepotism's always been really bad for me. Even like secondhand nepotism has been really bad for me. Like, I had this script and it was going to be Jack Palance wanted to play the lead because his son-in-law was this director named Roger Spotswood. Mm-hmm. And he sort of pulled Spotswood into it, and it was all going well. That was sort of nepotism because it's all in the family for them. And then Spotswood had an affair and the wife divorced him, and Palance never spoke to him again, and that deal fell apart.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
My brother's a lawyer. He lives in Australia. My stepbrother is a movie producer /
He is?
Agent. Yeah.
Okay.
And my half-sister, who was the child of my father and his second wife, she acted for a while. She ran she did casting for a while. She ran a youth talent agency for a while. She had lots of different, show business related jobs.
Out there.
Yeah, meanwhile, now she lives in Colorado, but she's raised 4 children, one born in each decade. When I went out to LA in '77, Taliesin was a baby. And then in the 80s, there was Alexander. In the 90s, there was Annika, and I think Tibet, whose birthday is today, was born like 2002 or something.
That's awesome. So you're close to the kids.
Well, now, I don't really know Tibet very well. I've gotten close to Annika lately, and I've always Taliesin's always been, because I know, I was his roommate. He was my first roommate in LA, though he was in a crib.
So, okay, getting back to LA though for just a second.
Yeah.
I still want to talk to you about your experience there. So, when you tried that out as a screenwriter going to LA, did you stay with your dad?
No.
Did you live with him?
No. I was an adult.
You were an adult by then?
Yeah,
sure.
I was 25 when
But you saw your dad, right? He was still alive then?
He was there, yeah. Well, I saw him. We had lunch every Saturday. There was lunch at my dad's house, which is
what was it?
Fantastic.
What was it like? What was that whole experience like being out in LA and trying to break through?
Well, it was very
I mean, even with a famous dad, it didn't happen.
Well, I mean,
what do you think?
My dad's position rarely came up. I mean, there were people who'd worked with him who knew me, but a couple of things almost happened because of people who worked with him before, but didn't. I met producers and I had scripts optioned and I wrote things, but there's people who've had whole careers in Hollywood writing scripts and never getting them made.
But if they get one made, they're pretty much set, right?
Well, I don't know.
Is that the way it works?
Sometimes, I never got a script made.
Right.
And the script that I made the most money on, which was continuously under option for that was not Spotswood deal. It was one of the many options in the script, which is a father-son story.
Yeah.
I finally wrote. It started off as a little.
Is it about you and your dad?
Yeah. Well,
sort of,
roughly.
Sure.
Well, it started off in my dad. I lived in London for a year with him, my senior year of high school, and which was cool. Anyway, I asked him to read something and he didn't like it, and then I asked him to read something else, and he said, "I'll read it when it comes out in paperback." Which is like, I took took that as a slap down.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And so I sort of brooded about that for a long time, and I wound up writing this novella about, this really adolescent fantasy. It's interesting that this adolescent fantasy struck such a chord in Hollywood but anyway, where, I made them into painters, not writers.
Okay.
Right. So here's the thing, and he works he under, a false name, right? Because the idea was I would write all these books and they'd be really under a fake name, and they'd be really successful, and then there'd be the paperback publication party for this Harry Ives or whatever name I would use, right? And my dad would be dying to meet the guy, and he'd go to meet him, boom, it's me, slam dunk, he shoots, he scores.
So
I wrote the screenplay with this incredibly juvenile revenge fantasy at the heart of it, and everybody loved it. And
but your dad didn't like it?
Yeah, my dad thought it was funny. He was, in the course of this thing being optioned,
he thought it was about him. So wasn't he touched by it?
He was, he's a writer. He thought it was good. He had notes on it, and there were some after a couple of different. I had this one. I guess actually it was the Spotswood meeting. When I met with Spotswood, he said. He was great. He said, "Well, here's my problem with your script. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I read it so quickly, and I was very tired. I was flying from London, so jet lag. I may have missed something. But here's what I take from the script. You have this young man. He's got everything. He's good looking. He's rich. He comes from a great family. He's tremendously talented. His future's bright. The only problem is his father hasn't patted him on the head and said, 'You're a marvelous artist.' And then at the end, his father pats him on the head and says, 'You're a marvelous artist.' Or is there more to it than that?"
What did he suggest?
Yes, he did.
What did he suggest you do?
And he said, so I was like, well, that's kind of it, Roger. Said, well, see, I'm not really interested in that sort of story because, most people, the issue in their lives isn't, are they going to be the first best artist in the world or only the second best artist in the world? Most people never succeed at all, and the prospect of growing up is finding that place where your ambitions and reality, intersect. What are you actually going to be? Most people don't get to be that great artist and have that wonderful moment with the father. Most people have to realize, that their adult life is going to be something very different. They're going to have to sort of growing up is making those compromises with reality. And I'm like, great. So the idea is he works really hard all through the script, and there's a complete failure at the end. It's like, well, yes, why not? I mean, that's life, isn't it? I'm like, but gee, I was like, that really sounds commercial. He's like, well, I hate commercial films. I never want to make commercial films. Commercial films bore me. Now, this is the guy who went on to make a James Bond movie.
Let me tell you something. That is brilliant.
It's brilliant. But I mean,
it's brilliant.
I know he is. Yes,
but what did you?
It is brilliant, and I did exactly what he said. But I have to say, parenthetically, that he went on to make a James Bond. I think one of the James Bond movies he made an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
What, a producer?
No, he directed a bunch of big fat commercial movies.
Okay.
So really, you never make commercial movies, Roger? Whatever.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Right. But here, wait a minute.
But anyways, I rewrote the script, and so I went to lunch with my dad. This is what made me think of it. My dad took me out to lunch, and I was talking to him about it, and he said, "Well, all you have to do is conform to Logan's Law, and you'll be okay." Logan's Law. Joshua Logan was a very, very prominent theatrical producer, director, movie producer in the 40s and 50s, sort of into the 60s. And Josh and Netta Logan were great friends of our family. And Josh Logan had this rule, which is pretty much, here's the secret of writing a great screenplay, everybody. It's Logan's Law. Warren Beatty, apparently, whenever he would start a movie, he'd call up my dad and say, "What's Logan's Law again? I forgot. What is it? You gotta tell me." My dad was like, "It's really simple, dude. A hit movie or screenplay is a series of scenes, culminating in a final scene, through which the hero learns something about himself, always emotionally and always for the better." That's Logan's Law. Okay. So my dad says, here, as long as this guy, he doesn't have to become a great successful artist, as long as he learns something about himself emotionally for the better, you're in. You're conforming to Logan's Law of hit screenplays. So I decided to make him a school teacher. Well, he actually was a school teacher, but it was just like a day job. But to make that job something much more important to him. And when I wrote the novel, and I wrote it as a novel recently, I really gave his life as a teacher, I gave him a a full like young adult novel's worth of students and their problems and all the rest of it.
Yep.
And so I wound up writing it as a novel. But of course, by the time I wound up writing it as a novel, I was the father's age. And I really couldn't write it like...
What year was this?
This was like the last couple of years.
It is?
Yeah, like I finally went... I had written like 17 different drafts for 70 different people and changed it 17 different ways.
But wait a minute, I got to bring this up. The story is really about who you are today.
Well, it's partly
Isn't
about
it?
that, yeah.
I mean, you...
Well, the father's
we're
part
get
of the
to
story...
that too.
The father's part of the story is about me.
Yep.
But I wanted to maintain, the kid's part of the story. My son's reading it right now. And he said, I'm really impressed by how you write a book at your age and so well captured the adolescent idiocy of the kid who's my age,
Yeah.
Post-adolescent, refusing to grow up.
Is that you?
bullshit.
That's you and now...
And my son's
you're writing about yourself as a kid, though.
Are
you putting the yellow...
The kid, the guy, the artist in the story has always been like in his early 30s.
Okay.
And he's still in his early 30s.
Yeah.
But now, and his father has always been in his early 60s. But writing the book, but the father was always this stick figure tyrant that got his comeuppance,
Yeah.
And I really can't write that anymore because I'm not a stick figure comeuppance, and I'm a father. I have a son the age of the son and the guy.
Yeah, right.
So I decided to give the father a much more complete story too, and make it a much more nuanced thing. And I may have ruined it by that because the thing that seemed to make it so popular in Hollywood was this very simplistic thing of the father getting his comeuppance, But I got bored with that, so it's certainly not literature. The point that Spotswood was making is true. The guy had no story arc. He wanted to succeed and impress his dad, and then after a lot of bullshit, he succeeded and impressed his dad. It's like now, the guy grows up.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't get to be everything you want it to be, but he finds out maybe something better.
Well, I think you're living that life, Steve.
And that's the life I live for sure.
So let's put this in perspective. You went out to L.A. You gave it a shot. You decided I'm going back east.
Well, it wasn't like that. My wife sort of made an ultimatum, and she said, you make it in 5 years. Once Kim came out and we were living there together, she hated it there, and she was like,
I see.
5 years, and then we're going to go where I like, which is Nantucket. Her parents had honeymooned here.
Yeah, right. And you came here and said,
and I didn't make it. So by that time we had a baby.
Your father said to you, call me when it's in paperback.
Yeah, but that was just a snide comment.
But but didn't that make you start to think about being a writer, a novelist, rather than just a screenwriter too, though?
No, I think the influence my dad had was, and it was hard for me to admit this for years, was he just wanted I wanted to be part of that world.
Yeah.
Part of the Hollywood world, also part of the artistic world, because of him.
Yeah.
When I found out toward the end of my time in Hollywood, I started writing this Hollywood novel, and I found that I really enjoyed writing fiction more than writing screenplays. Writing screenplays is a weird, incomplete kind of, business.
Yeah, it is a business.
Other people do most of the artistic work for you. Everything from the scene setting to the characters who are actors to the transitions which are done by editors. Everything's done by. All you really supply is the structure and the dialogue.
Oh my God, how important is a good script? Come on, it's the basis of everything.
No, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying it's not fun because. Because
you saw that life and you like the fun life.
No, but the structure and the dialogue are important.
Of course.
But a writer who writes a novel is writing a lot more than that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You're doing everybody's job.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to set the scene and all that, which I find much more fun. You have much more power because even if you never get published. Also, that's the other thing. If you write a book and it never gets published, which is the fate of most books, at least it's a finished thing. That's your thing.
Okay.
When you write a screenplay that never gets made, it's nothing.
All right, now.
It's a blueprint for a building nobody built.
All of this is fascinating, but I want to bring it to where you are today and talk to you about writing because you came back to Nantucket. Did you come to Nantucket with your wife?
Yeah, by that time we had a baby.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm not raising a baby in this
so you said, well, I'm going to stick it out and I'm going to write books when I get there and.
No, I thought, well, somehow I'll make my career work from Nantucket.
Yeah,
I'll make it work.
I'll make it.
And I did get some options, and I did go back and forth a few times, but you really can't make a Hollywood career work on Nantucket.
Steve, I got to tell you, you are one of the most you are tough. You persevere, man. You keep writing. writing. You
But I just
never
like doing
stop
it. I like doing it. It's not like something I did something.
Is it? Is it
like,
just because you like it?
Oh, you clean out sewers.
But you could be writing other things. You could be the technical writer or
No,
doing.
I know. I write exactly what I want to write, and
see.
I always have pretty much.
Right.
But here's actually, this is a good example of this is where it all came to a head, kind of writing, being on Nantucket. I was dating after my divorce. This time we had 2 kids, and I was divorced, and we were. I was dating this woman briefly who worked for a talent agency in Hollywood, a very big talent agency. It was called Broder, Kurland, Webb Offland at the time. The people at the top of Broder, I think Broder.
How old were you when?
I think Kurland died a few years ago. Actually. Anyway, how old was I? I was like
around.
I was mid-30s.
Yeah.
So anyway, she wanted me to move out to California, and the best way she could think to do it would be to get me signed by this agency. And I had written a spec script for my favorite TV show, which was Friends, which I really enjoyed.
You do. Why do you like Friends so much?
Oh, that's a whole. If you don't like, I don't want to argue about Friends with you, but it was.
No.
They were my
I'm
only.
not going to argue with you.
During the early days of my divorce, I had 2 kids, and they were like the only company I had.
Interesting.
Monica and Chandler and everybody. And I really knew the show well, and I wrote a spec script which she showed to an agent at the agency at Broder Kurland, who is the agent for most of the writers who worked for Friends. Mm-hmm. They were the biggest television agency in Hollywood. I didn't know that at the time, but they were. So she showed him my Friends script, and I get a call from the guy a week later, and he says, "This is the best spec script I've ever read. This is the best script I've read in 10 years. This is great. You're signed.
Yeah.
We're on. Let's go. All I need is your contact information."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You have my contact. You just called me. So obviously you have my contact. No, I mean your new contact information. Where are you going to be staying? You have a place, and you need a place because I can put you up in my brother has a bungalow, and we can put you up until you find a place." I'm like, "What?" So, what? You're moving out here, obviously. I mean.
Why would you need to move out?
You can't write television down Nantucket. It's all about. It's like I write a script and I send it out on a golden salver, and they thank me and make it into a TV show. All that script does. First of all, that script could never be a Friends episode because there's all these legal entanglements.
Well, exactly.
All that script does is it's what they call a calling card. They can show it.
Yeah.
And then I go out to meetings, and I'm meeting with all these different people at other shows.
Yeah.
And then and with the ideal thing of during pilot season getting staffed out to a show where you're working on on the staff of if you look at any TV situation comedy, you'll see there's 14 producers, and you're like, how can it take 14 people to produce a TV show? Well, those are Writers Guild deals. Those producer quote unquote producer credits are those are the writers on the show.
But the script was meant to wasn't supposed to be.
It's a tool for him to get me work. He was thinking he would take that script which I gave him, and use it to get me work writing television. That's what he does. That's how it works.
All right, got it.
If in an ideal situation,
you need to be there?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. He would give the script to whoever.
Well, why didn't you move out there?
Because I had 2 kids here, and I couldn't take them with me.
Now, your wife owned the Nantucket Gourmet, right?
No, she owned Complete Kitchen.
That's what I meant. She owned the Complete Kitchen.
Both of those
you
places
did too,
are gone
though,
now.
right?
No,
were you involved?
No, nothing. I had nothing to do with it.
Was that after you divorced?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. All right. So, got it. So, you couldn't do it.
So, anyway, so it was like. Anyway, so you go and you get staffed out, and when you're working on a TV show, I mean, you're in that writer's room 16 hours a day eating bad, takeout food. You're on the spot.
Yeah, I know it.
And I was
but you love that. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, but I realized I couldn't. And my son especially was in a kind of very tenuous place right then, and I just didn't feel like I just.
You couldn't move him back out there?
No, that would have been the court battle of the century, and I would have lost. So.
Right. Okay. Got it.
I couldn't take them, and I was like. I called the guy back, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And he's like, well, what the it's weird because most of my clients want me to be their agent. I don't get it. Why did you do this? And I'm like, I don't know. I liked Friends. I had a girlfriend. It was pretty embarrassing, and he was really pissed off at me. and that never happened. But that's not even the end of the story, because I was very, very upset for quite a while. I felt I was like resenting my kids. I used to call it as the trickler Houdini drowns. It's like either I leave my kids and I ruin their lives, or I stay here and ruin my life. It didn't seem there was any way out of it.
How long did you hold this grudge?
It was like 6 months of really being kind of, I wasn't outwardly mean or anything.
No.
I was very, very frustrated, and I felt like, what have I got myself into here?
Yeah.
And then I used the story actually.
I was going to say.
I used the story in one of my books because the way I finessed it is the state attorney general, who's a big Trump admirer. I wanted to have Henry have a friend who was a Trumpy, or just a big conservative. Now he's.
So this is recent.
This is always. All the books are ongoing.
Yeah.
But anyway, he wants Henry to move to Boston and work in the DA's office, for like twice the money and his own office. And Henry can't leave because of the kids. It's similar kind of.
Yeah, right. I got you.
And Henry has a similar epiphany. I used exactly what happened. Everything in my books is autobiographical except for the cases,
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all.
Well, that's good to know.
It is. I mean, it's all as true as I can make it. Anyway, so my kids were at my house. I had them that night, some night. And Katie was sick. She had stomach flu. And she said, Daddy, I don't feel so good. It was like 3 a.m. I get up and I get her downstairs and she's like projectile vomiting all over the bathroom. I'm holding her hair back and I get her to drink some water and, sit up with her and read her to sleep and get her bed changed and everything, get her back to sleep. And then I go downstairs with a sponge and a bucket and I'm cleaning her puke off the walls of my bathroom at like 3:30 in the morning, and it hit me at that moment that that was what I really wanted to be doing. That I was in the perfect place doing the perfect thing. And it was just this huge epiphany that hit me, and I never felt bad about it ever again.
Oh, that is good.
And soon after that I went to grad school for writing and wound up writing these books, and it's all been good.
So now let's bring it up to date.
No regrets.
So you're part of the book festival this year.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's official. I had to sign releases.
That's so great. Congratulations, Steve.
To give them a picture. That was nice. Yeah, it's good.
Do you feel like things are coming together for you right now?
The only thing that, much more than, the Nantucket Book Festival, it's cool. But my publisher was just bought by a bigger publisher.
Okay.
And they cut I think they cut somewhere between a third and a half of their writers out. And I made the cut, which is nice.
Okay.
And the ones they're keeping, they're doing a lot more. Supposedly, they're going to do more publicity, better covers, bigger ad budgets, and generally more support.
Good. Yeah, fantastic.
So that's
positive.
Yeah, that is positive. And the book I'm writing right now is my favorite one. I think it's going to be the best one, so that's also good.
All right. Well, let me ask you, who do you think you're writing for?
I know.
Who's your audience?
I know exactly who I'm writing for.
Tell me who they are.
I know exactly who they are.
Because everybody has an audience, a particular, like a politician has their constituents.
I know
a writer has. All right, who are they?
My constituents are women from 30 to 70. First of all, women in that age group, buy 90% of the fiction anyway that's bought of any kind. So to say they're my audience is a little weird because they're everybody's audience. That's who buys fiction.
Women. Yeah, well.
But there's a certain kind of woman who, there's a subsection of those women who really enjoy mysteries, and they like sort of matching wits with the writer and playing that game. This is a game we play where, I'm trying to fool them, but honestly, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. My wife just started reading Tana French, who's a wonderful Irish, and she's read 2 of them now, and in both she knew exactly who done it, like a third of the way in. She's like, I knew it, and she doesn't really like mysteries that much. She read a lot of Michael Connelly too. I guess she does kind of like mysteries. It's not her favorite type of reading, but she's one of those people who really likes to, because she's a writer herself and she understands structure. She's like, why are they paying so much attention to that person? Or she's always kind of like, kind of drilling down.
And this is what you mostly write, are mysteries.
Well, now I write mysteries, yeah, basically. But like those kind of readers who are like looking to figure it out, and they want to be fooled. but they want to be fooled fair and square, you know. I mean, I think Annie was a little disappointed that she figured out Tana French so fast, you know.
I see. Yeah.
She wanted she wanted to be fooled. I mean, Michael Connelly always fools you. Michael Connelly knows how to finesse a plot better than most people. But
anyway, pull into the driveway. All right.
Okay.
We're gonna keep talking.
Okay. They may come home at any moment. So.
Well, that's okay. I'll back up.
Oh,
I mean, we don't have that much more time.
Oh, okay.
I have to go shoot a lacrosse game too.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it's fun. There's a certain kind of game that we all play. I mean, I think that women who read me also like that Henry's a good guy, and you know, he's not one of these detectives who's like, you know, got a drug problem or a dark past or you know, he's not troubled. He's not a noir figure. He's just a straight shooter who's trying to do his best.
Right.
You know.
What made you decide that mystery you would head into doing mysteries?
You know, it's weird. I was thinking about it, and I realized I've always loved them. Like, my first books were the Hardy Boys.
Right. They were mine,
too. I was obsessed with the Hardy Boys.
Right.
And I went into Ian Fleming and Sherlock Holmes, and it's always been... And even the books like The Secret History, or there's a lot of books that I've liked that are also sort of mysteries. Mm-hmm. There's a mystery element. The Great Gatsby is a mystery. You know?
Yes, of course it is.
So there's like... But I wound up writing them. I don't know. Actually, this woman who I'm staying with, who at the time was a customer of mine, and we were pretty good friends even then, but I've been writing these like sketches of Nantucket, just like little short stories, linked short stories about Nantucket, and I guess the hero or the protagonist was a house painter. So Ellen was like, this stuff is great. This is much more fun than stuff you usually write. You should write more of this. And I was like, but yeah, well, how do I pull it together? And I had this one little subplot about a Kozlowski type of homeowner, big, you know, super 1% homeowner, who had stiffed all his customers and then gotten killed, and every tradesman on Nantucket was a suspect. And I thought that was kind of fun.
That is good.
So she said, well, you should you know, make that the main. That's a plot. You should build it all around that. But I said, but I don't. You know, so I thought, okay, but I don't have a detective. So I came up with this poetry writing police chief, who's basically me if I were a cop. He has 2 kids just like mine, and an ex-wife just like mine, and a girlfriend now just like mine, or a fiance just like mine. So the only thing about the autobiographical stuff, my editor's always been clear that everything has to tie into the mysteries. You can't just.
Sure.
Drivel on about your life unless it's connected to the plot. So,
of course.
You know, whereas Annie writes literary fiction and she's just written a play.
Annie's your girlfriend.
My fiance. We're gonna. I mean,
you are getting married?
We're gonna get married this summer.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, I thought for our 20th anniversary we should get married.
Good for you.
So cool.
My gosh.
You know, we're like, okay.
So many things.
It's no big deal. You know, it's just
you're finally getting your shit together.
Yeah,
Is that what you think?
No. It's not go that far. That's not go crazy.
Steve.
Anyway.
Huh?
Yeah, fun.
That was fun.
That was fun, man.
Dang. All right. So what are you doing with the rest of your day?
I gotta do a bunch of stupid. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, so I gotta do a bunch of stupid errands, get organized.
Yep. All right.
And, that's that. So
that's that, and we'll see you soon. And
yeah.
I'll have this on soon.
Come to my panel at me and Blue Balliet and another person are doing a panel on mystery.
Oh, cool.
On mystery writing. I don't know exactly what that means, but
I'll definitely be there.
We're sitting around talking about it. Yeah.
Fantastic, Steve.
Fun to talk.
You got it.
Okay.
Take care, man.
See you later.
Bye-bye.